Okay, so this is test correction 6.5b. Make sure that you have I can solve percent problems and that you have a sheet of paper so you could separate it into your two columns. Remember, put in the title. That way we know which test we're bringing your grade up with. Also, make sure that you write your name on the top. Okay, so here's the two columns. On the top, make sure you show work. It says my answer, right answer, work. So make sure you show in all your work. It says on this side you need to show your work for your corrections. Then on the other side, why you got it wrong. So on this side you have to explain in your own words what your mistakes were. Now remember, listen for those little hints that I give you as I'm going through and working them out, because I will kind of tell you sort of what you actually made, why you picked that answer. So make sure you're listening to that. So go ahead and get your paper, separate them into two columns, write the title, write your name, and write the two columns. Okay, so here's number 5, actually. A factory produces toy cars at a rate of 400 toy cars per hour. If 12 cars are defective each hour, what the percent of the toys are defective? So this is where we use the one chart. So you're going to go ahead and do part and total. So if because they're talking about percent, remember one of your whole numbers is going to be 100. So I'm going to go ahead. Okay, so right here, we're going to go ahead and do the one chart. So WON, you do your part and your total. In one of them, we're going to put 100. Because they are asking for percent, we need to use the one chart. So now all we have to do is fill in the part and the whole. So in this case, 400 toys, toy cars per hour, and 12 cars are defective. So 400 toys, 12 cars are defective. So that's going to be your two parts. So 400 toys is your total. The 12 cars is your part. So now what you do, you look for a scale factor, or you do use cross products. So in this case, I could see a scale factor. So 400 to get to 100, I had to divide by 4. So that means I need to do the same for my part. So 12 divided by 4 is going to give us 3. So that means because it's 3 over 100, that's going to be 3%. So if you look at your answer choices, we have 30%, that's wrong. We have 3%, we have 12%, that's wrong, and 24%, that's wrong. So my answer is letter B. Now if you did 30%, you probably just divided, you put a 0 at the end. You probably did it correctly, but then put a 0 at the end. If you put C, you just thought it's 12, that's your percentage, and you went ahead and did that. And then if you put D, you probably just multiplied 12 times 2, which doesn't make sense, but if you did that, make sure you write down why you put that. So go ahead and explain your mistakes and come back to the video. Number 10. Yesterday, 170 guests at a hotel called for room service, and 255 guests did not call for room service. What percentage of the guests of this hotel calls for room service yesterday? So let's look at it. So here, they're talking about percents, so that means I'm going to use my one chart. So I'm going to set it up, part, whole, and 100%. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for percent because it's asking what percentage. So now we need to look at the other information. So the other information, they're telling us 170 guests, 250 guests. But 170 called for room service, 255 did not call for room service. So that means they're both parts. So I have a part is that called 170. Then the other part is did not call, so it's 255. So that means I need to find the whole part. So I'm going to add this up. So that's 425 total. And then that means I need to find out the ones that called for room service. So the ones that called were 170. So what you do in this case, because the numbers are huge, I'm going to go ahead and simplify first. So I'm going to simplify 170, 425 by 5. So that's going to be 34, and that's going to be 85. It's still huge numbers, but it's better than the other numbers. So now I'm going to go ahead and change that. So this becomes 34, this becomes 85, and now I'm going to cross product. So 34 times 100 is 3,400. I'm going to make a little room here. 3,400 divided by 85. So now we're going to go ahead and solve that. So 85 into 3 is 0 times. 85 into 34 is 0 times. 85 into 34, let's try 4, because that's gonna, that 35, 4 times 8 is gonna be 32, so we're gonna see if that works. So 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 8 is 32, plus 2 is 34. So then my answer is here. So that's the remainder 0. Bring down the 0. Now, guys, if you bring down the 0, that means you need to put a 0 on top. Subtract the 0, and it's 0. So then my answer is going to be 40%. Oops. If you picked A, 60%, then you use the 255 guests. But that they didn't ask for that. Those are the ones that did not called. If you did 15%, let me think what you did. You probably used 170 and 255 as your whole number. If you did letter D, no, actually, if you did pick letter D, that's going to be 170 over 255. You pick letter B, it was because I'm not really sure what you did, but make sure that you are using the correct parts and wholes in order to get the correct percent. So stop the video, go and explain your corrections, and then come back to the video. George traveled 40% of the 80 miles distance from his home in Austin to San Antonio. How far has he traveled? So again, this is a percent problem, so we're going to use the one chart. Part, whole, remember 100, and now they gave us 40% and 80 miles. So that means 40% will be on top of 100 because it has a percent sign, and 80 miles is your whole part. So now all I have to do is go ahead and cross product. So 80 times 40, 0, 0. 8 times 4 is 32. So it's 3,200 divided by 100. So your answer is going to be 32. So in this case, it's going to be 32 miles that they traveled. You did 40 miles, that means you just did the 40 and put percent next to it. If you did 16 miles, you just multiplied it and divided by 2. If you did 48 miles, you put this in the wrong spot. You put the part and the whole in the wrong spot, so that's why you got 48. So make sure you go ahead and turn off the video. Explain your mistakes, turn in your paper, your corrections, because that's going to improve your grade on your test. And then make sure you do the next activity to improve it a little bit more. So good luck on those activities, and make sure you turn this in.